So I'm in the kitchen today and I hadn't really planned on doing a video, but I'm doing a bunch of baking and making some icing. And making icing is actually what prompted me to kind of do these videos for my kids. I had made a cookbook for my kids, and they were, even though the recipe was in front of them, they still were having questions. And I kind of joked around, oh, it needs to have a video with it. And they're like, yes, yes, please do that. So that's pretty much the sole purpose of me having these videos. And if anybody else stumbles upon them, great. So today I am making a strawberry buttercream icing. And if you're my kiddos and you have the cookbook I made you, that's on page 68. But what you're gonna need is a cup of butter softened, a cup of Crisco, 2-pound bag of powdered sugar, tablespoon and a half of hot water, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and a half a cup of seedless jam. All right, so first of all, the butter. When you are baking, the butter needs to be at room temperature. Do not take rock hard butter out of the refrigerator and try to make your icing. It is not gonna go well. So I have 2 sticks of that, or a cup here in my mixing bowl. All right, the next thing is that I took for granted is that they knew, especially, so not so much with cooking. Cooking, you can kind of, it's not as precise, but baking pretty much needs to be. So dry measuring cup, liquid measuring cup, big difference when you're baking. So, and they also did not know Crisco, to measure Crisco. You have to measure it in water. So for a cup of Crisco, you're gonna fill your measuring cup to a 1 cup line. And then you're gonna take some Crisco, you're gonna put it in the cup, and you're gonna kind of push it down under the water. And you want that water level to go from 1 cup to 2 cups to get your Crisco. And a couple tips on Crisco. So they do make the pre-made sticks that you can use, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not the biggest fan of that. So I like to buy the can and measure it myself, which is why it needs to be measured in the water. So we have that. Okay, so there we go. Cup of Crisco. Now, you're gonna pour that water off. You only want left with the Crisco. Do not need the water. Another tip about Crisco, if you don't do a lot of baking and you have it in your pantry a long time, it's gonna go bad. So one tip I can tell you is buy a can of Crisco, smell it. There's not gonna be a smell to it if it's new and it's good. If you go in the pantry 4 months from now and you haven't used it and you open that lid, smell it, odds are if there is a kind of a smell, doesn't smell the greatest, throw it out. When in doubt, throw it out, because it will make your icing taste funny. So, all right, we've got our Crisco. I'm gonna throw this in the bowl with my butter, and I'm going to cream that up, and I will be back and show you what that looks like. Okay, so butter and Crisco is all combined. The next thing you're gonna do, and do this slowly, you're gonna add an entire 2-pound bag of powdered sugar. So you wanna put this on the lowest speed, and you're gonna kind of just slowly put some sugar in there. You can speed it up a little bit if you wanna get that beat in. Take your spatula, kind of push it down around the sides. And you want to slowly work this in. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll be back. So I've got the Crisco and the butter combined with the powdered sugar, and it's really thick. So just incorporate that best you can. It's gonna be pretty thick. And now we're gonna add our 1.5 tablespoons of hot water and 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and that's going to help you thin this icing out a little bit so far. So I want you to dump that in, and feed it good for another minute or so, and we'll come back and add the jam. Okay, so adding that hot water and that vanilla really should help start thinning this out. And then the last thing you're gonna add is a half a cup of seedless strawberry jam. And I like Smucker's. So that's what I usually buy. And like I said, you can change out the flavor of jam. You can do raspberry, strawberry, blueberry. So I'm gonna dump a half a cup of the seedless, make sure it's seedless, strawberry jam in there and incorporate that, and it's gonna be done. All right, so we've got that all worked in, and it should be just a really pretty light pink color, if you can see that. And it's the perfect texture to ice and decorate with. I'm gonna taste it. So there, hopefully you won't have any more questions, and enjoy the buttercream. One thing I wanted to let you know is it does make a lot of icing. You can certainly store anything left over in the refrigerator for a couple weeks just before you use it again. Let it sit out to come up to room temperature so it gets soft, because with the butter in there, it's going to harden up. But yeah, so finished product, yum.